All right, first-time home buyers, 2023 wasn't like a check mark on the calendar year. Not one that anyone's putting a star next to is, I missed out on my big discount opportunity there. A lot of people are looking at years like 2019 and 2020, wishing they had the time machine. But we now have programs like this that are making more of an opportunity for the first-time home buyers. And with me today, Brennan and Patricia. Say hi.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Hello.
Mortgage lender, real estate agent with Loft the same. And this is a program that, frankly, a lot of people have been waiting on funding to get back into. Mm-hmm. And when it is available, both potentially for the interest rate and for the money you could put into your pocket, is a super valuable one, right? Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about it. Let's, first of all, dissect the biggest thing we have right in front of us. There's two different programs, and with y'all's permission, I'd like to just kind of read through them real fast. Mm-hmm. All right. Two different programs, Home Sweet Home and Delaware Diamond.
Yep.
Home Sweet Home provides $12,000 in down payment and closing cost assistance for homes purchased with a sales price of $285,000 or less.
Huge.
The assistance is in the form of a second mortgage loan, which is forgiven 10% each year up to year 10. With verification, the residence has remained the borrower's primary home. Let's break that down real fast. Mm-hmm. $12,000.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Humongous. I know so many people, and I'd love to hear, Patricia, like you, I know, have a lot of people in your clientele list that $12,000 shifts the game.
Oh, yeah, that could really benefit them moving forward. I mean, they don't have to be stuck saying, I need all these closing cost assistance, I need to save, when they can use and benefit from this. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Who's qualifying for this?
I would say anybody can really qualify for this.
Because it's exactly. If you could qualify for an FHA loan, you qualify for this program.
Yeah, you can use this for any loan type. FHA, conventional, USDA, if you're a veteran.
USDA.
Yeah.
So I could combine this with 100% fine. But then income's getting a little weird too, right?
I would say it's not primarily used on USDA loans, but it can. You can do it.
But easiest FHA, probably.
FHA.
What if I'm VA? I can do DSHA VA?
Yeah.
What's the benefits of that? Because I'm already getting 100% financing on VA. Mm-hmm. So I would get 100% financing plus $12,000?
Yeah,
whatever it is they've been giving you.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Shoo.
Yeah, so any closing costs that you have to pay at settlement, you can use this towards that. Yep.
Nice.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's the home. And going back into it, now here's the next line. So $12,000 in down payment or closing cost assistance. So not just the loan down payment, but also the appraisal costs, inspections, any of those little fees can be covered by that $12K. But it's got to be on a home below $285,000.
Yep.
That becomes tougher. It pretty much cuts out all of Newcastle County. You've cut out the eastern side of Sussex County. And probably northern Kent, for the most part, is out of play there. Until you're getting into townhomes, maybe some Class C double wides, which that would still qualify as long as it's on a permanent foundation, so it's been moved once. Yeah. Outside of that, my brain goes to South Kent, northwest Sussex.
Felton, Harrington, Seaford, Bridgeville,
Yeah, I mean, although it may lower the inventory, I would say your average, if we're focusing here on first-time home buyers, I would say the average first-time home buyer isn't buying, $500,000 house.
Sure.
So although, it may be a less amount of people who are looking to use this, it's still available for those who are.
I play devil's advocate with you.
Yeah.
You mind if I challenge that?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
What if I look at the market and I just don't see the inventory to support that?
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, that's where I have the issue.
That was coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you're right. I mean, my first house was $145,000, $160,000 when it was all said and done. Mm-hmm. And I got an acre in Dover. Like
insane that was even a possibility.
Crazy. Today, that gets you the acre in Dover.
Right.
There's no house that's going to be on it. And I had a nice little 2-bed ranch. So the market's obviously changed. I hear you. Mm-hmm. I just had a conversation with someone downstairs right before this video where she said, I want a 3-bed, 2-bath with a little yard for $250K. And I told her, I won't say her name, but Jacqueline, that's an exceptionally reasonable request.
Right.
But frankly, unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is sad.
Well, the good thing is you're right. 285 is like, man, that doesn't even really get you where the average first-time home buyer would want to be. Yeah. But that's why they have the other two programs.
Yeah, that's why
they have the other two.
Let's go into the other ones in a minute, because I also want to talk about the fact that it says a little bit of the language here. It says the assistance is in the form of a second mortgage loan. Right. It doesn't mean I need to get 2 pre-approvals, right?
Negative. Nope, that does not mean that.
What does a second mortgage mean? It's basically
they take that money that they give you and they put it in its own account, and it sits there. And the good thing about this is it's actually interest-free. So, a year from now, well, it does decrease by 10% each year, but say it didn't. If it didn't decrease, 10 years from now, it would still be that $12,000 that they initially gave you. The good thing with this program is it sits in there in that account, and every year it decreases by 10% each year. But if you end up selling or refinancing within that 10-year period, you have to pay whatever that amount is back. So
okay.
Stay in the home for 5 years, it'll be $6,000. You can use the equity in the home that you build over those years to pay it off, however you want to do it.
Yeah, because most people who are in a home for more than 3 years are going to be walking away equity positive.
Right.
Really, at any time on the home or the housing market graph over time, it's hard to find any 3 to 5 year period where you're not. So what you're saying is you stay there for 5 years. Let's say you borrowed $10,000 up front. 10% of that disappears every year you live there.
Yep.
So after 5 years, I only owe $5,000 if I sold. But if I'd stayed the whole 10 years, and it does say all 10 years has to be my primary home.
Right.
I feel a lot of people will try to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Because the FHA doesn't necessarily come knocking on your door to make sure you're there. But with a program like the Delaware State Housing Authority, FHA wouldn't care if you're in there, but Delaware State Housing Authority would. To the people sitting out there thinking, well, how are they going to know? How are they going to know?
So they can do post-closing audits.
Okay.
If DSHA gets any type of, insight where they see some type of rental income coming in or however the case may be, I wouldn't say it's common.
Someone snitches.
But
someone snitches.
But I have had clients come to me and they're like, hey, man, I got to refinance. I got a call. They said, I have to pay this second mortgage off.
Because they broke the terms of the agreement.
Because they found out that they broke the terms. And then if it's better to
So that's the answer. They can request that money back.
Right. It's best to play by the rules before you get a random call saying you got to pay, in 5 years saying you got to pay $6,000 out of nowhere. And you weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Then you got to either do a cash out refi, which again isn't the end of the world, but if you're not expecting it.
But there's some people who let's talk about this, Brennan. And this is a scary stat. And I know we don't have the middle TV camera set up and we can't bring anything up. I know for a fact it's difficult right now, but I'd love to know if historically it's the worst it's ever been. There are so many people who own a home who have a mortgage that if they had to reapply for a mortgage from the home they're in right now, just in today's market conditions, wouldn't qualify for it.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you talk about a cash out refi, that's something someone might think up front, oh yeah, I could rely on that, but you never know what's going to happen that could lead you to, because if you do that refi, you still have to then requalify for whatever that is.
You do.
And I know I've had a lot of conversations, and I speak for you probably, knowing you've probably had a lot of these conversations with people that want to refi, and then when they learn what that new mortgage payment's going to be, or they learn that maybe they don't even qualify for the amount they're trying to refi for now because the market's gone so topsy-turvy. Are you having conversations like that?
Yeah, I am. And, that does come into play. The good thing is those people who have had the home for, 3 to 5 years, they do have a lot of equity in there.
Usually, yeah.
So although the monthly payment is pretty eye-opening to them, if they're in that 2 or 3 range, they're blessed. But that extra equity, typically what I try and do is over those 3 to 5 years, things change. You have kids, you take out installment loans, X, Y, and Z. We just use that to pay off those extra debts they may have, which although the monthly payment's going up, we're paying off credit card, we're paying off this, and that, which is altogether lowering their monthly debt or equaling it out. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. Are you running into more situations where someone like that should think about listing as opposed to refining? Because what I'm hearing you say is the person who owns the home, who's had it for 3 to 5 years, they have more debt now than maybe they thought they were going to have because, affordability is tight, inflation's gone up on a lot. that their debts would be better taken care of by refinancing, taking on a higher monthly payment, and using the money from the refi to pay off those debts,
Right.
as opposed to selling and taking the money to pay off those debts.
I mean, it's really just.
And I'm going live
it's-
on Instagram.
I would say it's case by case.
Okay.
The ones I've had recently, I haven't had to tell them like, well, I think you should sell the home. It's we've been fortunate enough to where, if we pay X, Y, and Z off, it kind of equals everything out.
Okay.
But that can be a thing for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've had more conversations in just recent months with people that do own homes that are in positions where, normally you want to relocate, or you want to upgrade, or you want to get closer to family, that aren't selling for those reasons. They're thinking of selling because they're behind on a mortgage payment. They're thinking of selling because they got the Liz Pendez in the mail. Tighter times for everyone all around. I want to put that out there for the potential first-time home buyer listening, thinking it's all sunshine and rainbows to own a home. There's more expenses that come along with home ownership, and quite honestly, there's a lot of people who did buy during this time frame that bought by the skin of their teeth that would not requalify for the house that they're in right now. And the fact of the matter is, they're kind of golden handcuffed in. Yeah, they're cozy and comfy and they got equity, but they couldn't sell and get out of there and go anywhere because they can't rent anywhere because rent's too high, or they can't requalify.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I know you're the sunshine and rainbows for each side of things.
I always try to be positive. So, like, to someone like that, I would say, you have that extra equity, use it, put a larger down payment on the home.
But a lot of people are in situations where, say, Brennan, like over the last 6 months, things have been so tight. I've been using my credit cards to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I'm behind on my mortgage now. I know if I miss a payment, I'm now 12 months from being able to requalify for a mortgage, correct?
Not necessarily.
After a 60-day missed payment?
On a mortgage?
Yeah.
I have to double check.
I thought after a 60-day, you had to wait 12 months until you could requalify. Maybe 6 months.
On a 60-day, that's...
Yeah, like if I missed 2 months worth of mortgage payments, I think from then on, it's now a 12-month reset on being able to requalify.
I have to double check, but I think it is.
That would be insane.
I only know that because I've ran into it with 2 people, and they had a government loan. So maybe different if you have a conventional or I don't know. But regardless, missing payments is not a good look on anyone's credit history for anything, whether it's a phone payment or a mortgage payment. All that being said, there's a lot of people who own a home who are in that scenario who no longer are going to qualify if they tried to buy. And so to your scenario, if they could use that equity for a down payment on another home, it may not be an option.
May not be enough,
Because a lot of those people have a $1,200 payment, and you're not finding anything for under $1,800, $2,100, honest. Without a significant down payment. But let's go back to the sunshine and rainbows.
Sunshine
All right.
and rainbows.
So we went over the Home Sweet Home program. This is positive. This is super positive. So this is a $12,000 down payment program, what we just went through, and that is up to $285K. Now, let's talk to somebody who, let's go back to the COVID definitions, had to keep going to work when everyone else was told to go home. Military, medical, education, essential personnel, state workers, they are still reaping benefits in the real estate world, and this program is completely for them. I'll go through the details of it, then I want to read who qualifies for it, and then I just want to kind of open up the conversation around both of these programs and first-time home buyers as a whole. So this is the Delaware Diamond program. Delaware Diamonds provides $10,000 in down payment and closing assistance for eligible occupations. We just mentioned those essential personnel, and I'll go through the specific list. The assistance is also in the form, like the first one, a second mortgage loan, which is forgiven 10% each year up to year 10 with verification the residence has remained the borrower's primary home. Again, just not renting it out, as we know. This is available for anybody who is a Delaware state employee, and that is defined as employed by the state of Delaware or state corporations, medical personnel, so anyone employed by Christiana Care, St. Francis, BB's, Bay Health, Nemours, or the VA hospital, like they threw that one in.
I do too.
Educators, that's anyone employed, this is a good definition, by a public or private school district. That also means you could be an admin worker, the principal, the counselor, anybody that's employed by a public or private school district. First responders, firefighters, police officer, emergency medical technician, paramedic, volunteer first responders. That's a huge one.
Huge
one right there. So you can make the money you make, whatever, in your full-time job, as long as you still hold the volunteer moniker, which I'm sure comes with specific qualifications on how many times or how often or how long you've been volunteering for that to count. And then military personnel. I won't read through this long list of how to prove it. Have a DD-214 for the vets, and if you're active, you're active. Obviously, the one thing I will throw in here is that you could also be National Guard or Reserves for this program.
Yep.
So that's a really good toss in there, and I'll just throw it in there for the sake of the fact they did put it in writing that Space Force also qualifies for this program.
Space Force.
I love that they made sure Space Force is being taken care of. There are household income limits. They're very reasonable. They're very up there. So in most situations, if you're overqualifying for this loan program, you're probably going to be better set in a conventional setting anyway, maybe even putting a little bit more money down. I love the program. I hate that it is limited in its funding, but I do love that, unlike the first program, it does not have any purchase price limitations. Whereas our first one had a $285K limit. This one does not have a maximum, correct?
Say that again?
This one does not have a maximum.
For the Delaware Diamonds?
Correct.
No, it's just based off the total household.
Which is awesome. Yeah, which is absolutely awesome.
Well,
So
actually, they do have, are you talking about sales price?
Sales price.
They do have a sales price limit.
Okay, so it's not
Which
listed
I
as
can-
to it. Yeah, as
Well, the Delaware Diamonds doesn't have it has a sales price limit, but it's not listed on here.
got it. Is it based off household income?
It's based off household income, and then it's also there is a limit to the sales price.
Understood. Okay.
I'd have to double check on what it is.
Yeah, I would love that number.
I can actually tell.
Yeah, I would love it while we're on this video if we could do that. Yeah, we'll get that number right now, because that's the big limiting factor I see with the Home Sweet Home program.
Yeah.
Is that 285K?
Because you can only get so much with the 285.
Yeah, and I know, like, I'll speak military personnel. Quite often, you're coming in with a spouse. Quite often, you have 1 to 2 kids, and quite often, 285 or lower is just not gonna create a home that's gonna house 4 people.
So for Kent County,
Okay, so this is Dover, Smyrna,
sales
down to
price
Milford.
limit is 481.
Okay.
481,176 for Newcastle County.
Okay, wait 1 second. So you said Kent County,
Yeah.
just for all intents, approximate 481.
Yep. And
Thousand.
then for Newcastle, that's Kent County and Sussex County. Actually.
That's Kent and Newcastle.
And then
or you said
Newcastle-
Kent and Sussex.
Sussex.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All good.
Kent and Sussex, my fault.
So 481 is the max you can take out with the Delaware Diamond program, getting that 10K.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the highest sales price. And then Newcastle is 539.
Wow. Okay. Got you. So I'll say it, for all intents and purposes, really no limit. Really no limit.
Especially, like, even if it's, like, the first-time home
Yeah.
buyer. Like,
Here's what I
that's
would say.
insane.
If you're looking to buy a $480,000 home and you need $10,000 in order to make or break it, you probably shouldn't buy a $480,000 home.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be controversial. I don't think it is either. But we were on the other day, and we're talking about people living paycheck to paycheck. And the amount of people that even making over $120,000, $150,000 that wouldn't be able to pay their bills if they missed one of their 2-week checks, it's like, I think it's a third. I thought it was 37%
Yeah.
of over 150K earners are paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
We're not in a time, like, no, I don't understand how we're not in a quote unquote recession. There's no economist that will say we are, but there's so much squeeze being felt. And that's where programs like this come in. I think there's going to be more and more of them being available, both on a federal and state level. Again, this is state, right? This is Delaware State Housing Authority. You mentioned a third program earlier.
Yeah.
That's kind of one that remains for, like, kind of their staple. It doesn't really go away, right?
Right. Well, it's called the First State Home Loan.
Okay.
So we kind of hit on the other two.
Yep.
This one is for those who maybe don't fall into the other two programs categories. You know, maybe you're buying a house above 285, but you don't qualify as one of the occupations for the Delaware Diamond. They'll still give you 3% in down payment assistance and closing cost assistance. However, that it's not forgivable after 10 years.
Got it.
It kind of just sits there. Again, it's interest free in that account. You do got to pay it back whenever you go to sell it.
So to rerun that, income limits, are they the same as our original one? Pretty much just really high and not really big worry?
Yeah. So the income limits are the same thing.
Okay.
Kent County and Sussex County, 117. That's for 1 to 2 people. Newcastle County for 1 to 2 people, it's 137. and they change.
And that's
or
an
actually,
income
that's-
limit, not a purchase price limit.
That is for income limit.
Correct. So that's the most you can make
That's
to
if,
qualify
and
for
that's
that program.
if you are, those income limits right there are if you are not a first-time home buyer.
Got it.
If you are a first-time home buyer, the income limits for 1 to 2 person in Newcastle County is 111, and then in Kent County it is 97, and then for 3 people plus it's 112.
Heard. Okay. And the other thing that we haven't mentioned, I think this is both the Home Sweet Home program and Delaware Diamond. I'm not sure if it's for this first state home loan, but we're in a market where we just got out of, actually, I say we just got out of. Yesterday we re-peaked back into the 7% world. This program offers an attached lock 5.5% rate. That's huge.
That's if you're a first-time home buyer.
Yes. So the first-time home buyer, is it Home Sweet Home and Delaware Diamond? Or is it all three? Is it just one of them?
I believe it's all 3.
I believe, that,
it's
anything
all
that
three.
runs through DSHA, if you're a first-time home buyer,
It's all 3.
5.5%.
7.5.
That's for
5.75. I thought it was 5.5.
5.75 for FHA.
Never mind. I don't want it. Never mind. That's stupid. No, it's great.
For all FHA,
Yeah.
VA,
Okay.
and I believe USDA. For conventional, I believe it's 6%.
Got it.
But still-
And again,
still
and what
amazing.
weird situation are even getting a conventional DSHA and wanting first? Yeah, it's almost always going to be a government loan.
Right.
It's usually always going to make sense. And yeah, 5.75 in a world where a lot of people who want to buy a home, we're looking 7 and 8%. You're looking down the barrel of it.
Yeah.
Like 5.75 is incredible. And if I'm being frank, and I'd love to hear y'all's opinions, I don't see an interest rate that gets tremendously lower than that in the near future.
No.
I would say maybe about 2 to 3 weeks ago, rates came down pretty good for about a week there. But I'm sure you've talked about it. They've kind of been up, bouncing back around, but I don't see them going much lower than that. I would say in the next couple months. I would say if anything, they're going to hover around that. Yeah.
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 I would think mid to low 5s at the most. I don't see us ever hitting below 5. I'd be shocked if we did.
Yeah, it's tough to look out anywhere farther than even a year. But yeah, to say that we're going to see interest rates get back down to 2, 3, 4%, it just doesn't make sense.
But I mean, we were in the 8s this past year. So going from that to 5.75, that's amazing. That's great.
It is amazing. And we're at least on a good trajectory.
Yeah.
I know for me, I've had trouble in the past giving hope to the first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Where do I set my sights? What date do I circle on the calendar? And it's just getting kind of like, we'll see. Like, we'll touch back on that. Like, and so programs like this, interest rates declining, and something we have talked about is home prices stabilizing. Over the last year, we saw a very standard appraisal of home prices year over year. Now, the problem was most people will say that we had 2 years that were obscene and we need to make up for that by having them drop. I don't see that happening. So programs like this have to exist in order to make home buying possible, especially for the first time.
Yeah.
What other advice are you giving outside of, reaching out to Brennan, and who's, by the way, fantastic. Love everything. You're younger in the game. You're newer in the game, but dude, the one thing that I'd say that revolves way more than that's way more important than experience is attentiveness and communication, and being on top of stuff and getting back to everybody on time as stated before. And when you say you're going to do something, doing it, and you do that so well. And we pride ourselves at Loft of only partnering with people that hold that moniker. So outside of that, what else should somebody be doing to prepare themselves, better equip themselves, or, set themselves up to either qualify for a program like this, or at the very least, just get into a house?
Get into a house. So other than try and save as much as you can, although they're going to be giving you this assistance, it's always good to have a cushion.
Okay, let's talk about the cushion. How much money should somebody have? Not minimum, all right, it's worth a convo. I'm talking like, what should my target be to have a comfortable closing experience?
Comfortable closing where you don't have to ask for any seller's assistance. Although you're going to be getting this assistance, you're a first-time home buyer, you'll probably get another, discount based on being a first-time home buyer. It's always good to have at least, I'd say, 8 to 10.
8 to 10. Okay, so call it 10K. All right.
I would say 8 to 10, using this program. we're saying we're using these programs. I would say 8 to 10.
Got it.
Doesn't mean you're going to use all that, but I would say it's good. Even if we use some of it, you got some for furniture, whatever it is, you know, you're going to have needs. Maybe you have kids, you have stuff like, you know, whatever the case may be.
I thought you said you're going to have knees. So
What's that?
I thought you said knees, like, you know, like on my legs.
Right.
I was like, I hope they have knees. I think that should be a mortgage qualification. I think you should have to have knees. If you just had straight legs with no knees, no
knees.
mortgage.
Need the knees.
Yeah, need knees
But
mortgage.
other than that, I mean, the only other thing that you have to really focus on is your credit score.
Okay.
I mean,
Which needs to be
minimum of 620 for
620
these
credit score.
programs.
Yep.
So that could range. You know, how you get that credit score is, you know, at least want to have at least 1 to 2 trade lines open, whether it's through a car payment, a credit card, making those payments on time. And you want to, if you have credit cards, make sure you're keeping the balance of those credit cards at 30% of the maximum limit.
Heard.
Okay.
Okay. Makes sense. All right. So that's great advice. What about you? What advice are you giving?
I mean, besides the credit, because I think credit's a big one.
Yeah, because just to recap, credit to 620,
Yep.
saving money.
Yep. Naturally.
Yep.
10K.
Yeah. And even when it comes to debt, like if I had a client that I actually gave to Brennan, it's one of those things. Should I pay off my truck? Like I could afford the payments if I were to pay this off or this or that. And before you make that move, speak to a lender because they're going to be able to tell you and guide you. You should pay this down. You should move this over to this fund. Like
A lot of times I'm like if you know someone's kind of on the edge and they're starting to make, you know, certain financial moves without talking with me, you know, they may not even have to pay this car down that amount. You know, sometimes they're paying more monies than they actually could or actually should, I mean. Also, just because I said 8 to 10K doesn't mean that's the standard for everybody.
Yes.
You know, if you have, you know, less than that, it doesn't mean we can't get you in a home. Definitely could still reach out and we could see, you know, what's it looking like using these programs and what else we could do to still get you. And I don't want to limit anybody.
Yeah, I define that as the target for a comfortable closing experience.
I would say target that. If you have less than that, we can very well get you in a home without that.
What would you say? Hey, don't dial my line unless you have this amount in your bank account.
Right.
It sounds a little rude to put that title on it. Do not call me unless you have this amount of money.
I believe everybody deserves to be in a home.
Sure.
But sometimes, you know, you need to be financially ready. You know, if you don't have more than just a couple thousand,
couple
saved,
grand,
you probably need
that's
to
fair.
Give,
Just a couple grand. A couple grand's worth starting the conversation because now you can start being guided. Okay, how much should I save from here? Where should I put it?
Yeah, if you have $500 saved, you know, you just
we just lowered it dramatically.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, you just moved out of mom and dad's. You know, whatever the case may be, you just got out of college. You got $500 saved. You're like, man, I'm trying to get a house, and you got $500 saved. That's great. I love the ambition, but financially, it's probably not the best move.
You got a lot of other problems.
Doesn't mean we can't use.
You're on your own with $500.
Right. It doesn't mean we can't use this. You use X, Y, and Z to get you in a home, but I would say financially, it may not be the best move for you.
Because you're not even, and not only the closing cost, it's the appraisal, it's the EMD check,
you need those
it's
things
inspections.
Yeah.
So if you're nickeling and diming everything just to put the offer in, you might want to reconsider.
Yeah. And like you said, everyone deserves the opportunity at a house, shelter, living somewhere, like the American dream.
For sure.
It's a weirder dream right now. So, again, back to this program, brings more opportunity. You're saying save, you're saying get your credit right, and you're kind of echoing the same sentiments and saying that it's worth getting the conversation started too, even if you don't have that full amount ready to go for that comfortable closing.
Because if anything, you give me a call, you give Patricia a call, and we can see what your situation's like, and we can give recommendations, put you on a plan to get you where you need to be in the next couple months.
Yeah, my number's 4,000.
Yeah,
don't call me unless you have $4,000
That's
in your bank account.
That's a good number.
That's my number. 4K.
That's a good number.
But,
I also think for the first-time home buyers, like, be realistic in the sense of, I want the 3-bed, 2-bath on an acre. Start looking at what's out there.
Oh man, that's
Start
a great
looking.
one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Me and Pat talked about getting with an agent to set up on the MLS.
Yep.
Just start getting sent emails of what's on the market. Get the weekly update.
Yeah.
I have like 80 plus clients right now that are just getting weekly emails. We know they're not buying in the next 6 months, even 12 months for a lot of them. You just want to start getting to see what's on the market.
Yep.
So if you're seeing this and you're like, you want that, just hello at Loft Team DE. We'll get you set up on that. But I keep saying, but you notice that? That's like my filler go-to.
Now it's gonna be emphasized every time you do it. I wasn't picking up on it, but now I'm definitely gonna call you out.
I like to think about what I'm saying to an extent.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying dumb stuff, but yeah. See, exactly. You caught it. But now I don't know what to say.
Right. Nah, it's all good.
It's tighter right now for everybody. It's tighter for the person buying their second home.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to have empathy maybe toward that person, especially if you haven't bought a home before. But it is. And it's looking like there's more programs that are financially favoring giving a little bit more of an advantage to that first-time home buyer than maybe there was last year or the year before. And that's good. Because programs like this also, you get some money off your transfer taxes. You do get money in your pocket for closing costs. You mentioned paying stuff off. There's even situations if you own a home where, like Patricia said, talk to a Brennan or Brennan altogether to say, hey, I want to sell. I have X amount of debts. What could we use the equity to pay down? And they can use their systems to foreshadow what your credit will look like if you did X, Y, and Z to set you up so you can get into the next property or do whatever you're doing. So there's so many different options. I think what everyone here is saying is if you're getting prepared, get prepared simply by credit and getting money in your bank account. And if you are already in kind of go mode, whether you own a home and you want to buy another, or your first-time home buyer in this type of program feels like it's something that could get you over the hump, then if you can afford it, do it.
Yeah.
Right? Is there a downside if you can afford a home today, to buying a home today?
I wouldn't say it's a downside, but be realistic of where the payments are now.
Sure.
Because I have a lot of conversations is I want my payments to be 12, 15.
So let's have that conversation. So what's the, because, okay, you just said, I want my payments to be 12 or 1,500 right after saying people are being unrealistic. That sounds crazy. So what is a realistic payment?
Realistic payment right now? I mean, you're looking at $2,000 or higher. I mean,
what about you, Sunshine?
Yeah.
I would say 19, 18.
It's got to be a little bit lower.
if you're going 250 plus, it's going to be at least 18 to 1900 more or plus.
We already mentioned between 250 and 285 is already a little dry. Median, we're probably getting above 300.
Yeah, if you're going above 300, it's going to be $2,000 plus.
Disgusting.
Which is disgusting.
Disgusting.
Yes.
Well, on that disgusting note, we're telling people best advice. Get your credit to 620. Get $10K in your bank account. And the first person that you should reach out to is either a lender or a realtor.
Correct.
Ooh, I was saying or.
Oh, or. I mean, biased, I guess.
Fight for it.
Biased, I guess.
You know, it's one of those things.
Joker reference.
I'm going to go lender. I personally think it's lender.
I would agree, to be honest. As crazy as that sounds, because I'm a real estate agent, I actually think it's going to be a lender.
I think it's lender only because you're not wasting the realtor's time. If you're not qualified and ready, or if you're not even financially there yet, and you're reaching out to the realtor, they can't necessarily do anything to help you. They can show you homes, but if you're not ready, why? Like, you can view the homes, but you should, like, what's the point of going to see the homes and think about even putting an offer on a home if you don't even know what your financial standpoint is?
And even, I mean, definitely look at the homes and see 3-bed, 2-bath. What am I realistically looking to pay? But you're just seeing, oh, it's $300,000. I don't know what my mortgage payment would even look like on that. So it's, I would think it's important to talk to that lender.
Yeah, I say the numbers, being comfortable with everything numbers wise is more important than being comfortable if this house has a porch or all that up front. Finding everything comfortable wise, monthly payment, cash to close, all that firsthand is probably the best bet. You're not really giving us like who's right here.
It's hard.
I've loaded so many pieces of ammo into my debate gun in my head that I'm gonna keep it holstered. That's not what today's about. So I'll hand it to you. We'll say lender. Okay. We'll say in a first-time home buyer situation, we're talking about a down payment program called lender. Get in touch, get that down payment locked in as to what realistically it's going to look like. That cash to close you had referenced, and also the monthly payment. Yeah, because you're right. Just knowing what that monthly payment's going to be is going to let a lot of people know up front
for sure
if this is what I need to do or not.
And I set people up all the time on their searches, and they can look at homes, and that's great. But then when they're finally ready, because they
Yeah.
found that house that they love, and I sent you to a lender.
Here's the other thing too. I'm gonna push onto this conversation is realtors also do a really bad job of when we're speaking with potential buyers asking about price point in terms of the price point on the home, when really that means nothing to you unless you're putting a significant amount of money down, if not cash.
Right.
And if you're listening to this thing about cash and you're 40 minutes on a first-time home buyer episode, I don't know why you're here. But it's usually a silly option anyway to buy in full cash. But yeah, I don't really have any other takes on this other than I'll allow it in saying that you contact the lender first. But the realtor really should do better at structuring the conversation, for example, to give what it should be. Mm-hmm. What are you comfortable with a monthly payment being for yourself?
Even $400,000 home, 300, whatever the price point is. Like they're like, oh, I can qualify for that. We can qualify for that.
Because you assume you can based off of.
They assume. However, it's like, although yes, you may qualify, are you actually comfortable with the monthly payment at that sales price? Mm-hmm. If the monthly payment for that home is $2,500, but you're comfortable at $2,000, gonna have to scale down a little bit.
Yeah, and what I found is a lot of people are saying I want a $425,000 home because what they found is via their research that's around the price point that fits their needs. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked at the housing market in 4 years, so I assume mortgage payment $2,000, and then they find out it's $3,250.
Right,
and that's a huge jump. Closing thoughts.
I've got nothing.
Nothing.
Just closing altogether.
I'd
say if you save your first-time home buyer, definitely give us a call. If you're already on the market, you've chatted with a real estate agent or a lender, specifically lender-wise, and the lender just sent you a pre-approval. Just make sure that you're getting an idea of your monthly payment and all that up front. Because I've seen a lot of lenders will just they'll do everything and they'll just send out the pre-approval and they don't even know what the monthly payment all that is until they're under contract.
That's scary.
And that's terrifying. Or without verified numbers to even know that that's a legit pre-approval. And big banks are more liable to do that.
Yeah. So just double check on that. Also, since we're closing, definitely give me a call with this because this is a really great program. I think it will help a lot of people. The funding is limited. Mm-hmm. They got $5 million between these the two forgivable programs, so it's not going to last forever. But I think it's going to help a lot of people get into new homes.
Yeah, and the interest rate could potentially be even lower the next time it rolls around. So even if you're watching this 2, 6, 12 months after it's been released, this is a program that consistently is getting refilled. And this is the first time we've seen the program look like this.
Yeah.
So seems like it's always improving.
Yeah.
So
typically DSHA rates are normally 1% higher than the market rate.
And now they're better.
It's actually better, which is like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. So take advantage.
Delaware's behind first-time home buyers. I love it. All right. Appreciate y'all.
Perfect.
Thank you.